Hello, my name's Andy. Welcome to this video. We're going to have a look at a Bible passage. We're going to try and draw some lessons from this ancient text. If you're part of my churches, hello, we'll be looking at this on Sunday the 3rd of September at St John's. If you're not part of that community, then I hope you'll get something of use from this video too. Okay, so the passage we're going to look at today is Matthew 16, verse 21 to 28. Now in the Bible there are 4 books which are called Gospels, which tell the story of Jesus' life, what he did and what he said. And Matthew is the first of those. Okay, so Matthew 16, verses 21 to 28. I'll put a link to it in the text below if you want to have a look and you don't have a copy of the Bible to hand. Okay, let's go. Now, you know on takeaway leaflets, sometimes they give you a warning of how hot the dish is going to be with little chili icons. Well, if they did that on the Bible, this bit would be a 3 chili passage. It's a really, really deeply challenging and difficult bit of writing, but it's so good. It's so good. Hopefully I'm going to try and unpack it a bit and help you see some of the goodness in this passage. Okay, now it occurs roughly halfway through the story we pick up, and it's just after a turning point in the middle of the story. It says that from that time on, there's a change in the focus of the book. From that time on, Jesus told his disciples. We'll come later to what he told them, but first I want to pause and think about that word disciples. Now it's a word which has become commonplace, but the original word, I think it's worth having a look at, is the word mathetes. And it's in the original language, the word that Matthew chose to use at the time, it meant all sorts of things, which we've sort of lost a little bit today. So it meant to be disciplined, which is where the word disciple is translated from. It also means to be taught, to acquire habits, to learn and to follow. So to be a disciple is someone who's engaged in a process. This is a process of learning. So Jesus is addressing this next bit of teaching to people who have chosen to follow. Okay, so it's talking about what's going to happen next. Once you've decided to follow, what happens next? What are the gradual changes that are going to happen? Okay, so a disciple. And I hope you think of yourself as a disciple. So the thing that Jesus went on to teach them was that it wasn't going to end well, but it did end well. Okay, what do I mean by that? He said that he was going to have to go to Jerusalem, that he would be killed, but on the 3rd day he'd be raised. Okay, now we know the story. Well, I presume you know the story, that Jesus was killed and he was raised from the dead. But the language here is really interesting. Do you notice it said that he would be raised? Not that he would raise himself, he would be raised. This is an outside action. This is God outside of Jesus at the time, raising him from the dead, which is amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So our God is a God who reverses what nature says is inevitable. Our God is a God who can do things differently, who can turn nature around. That's the God we follow. Okay, Jesus went on then to talk to the disciples and tell them what this meant for them. As the disciples, their job was to follow, and to follow meant that they needed to change. Jesus said, "For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it." Okay, this is the really deeply challenging bit of this bit of ancient writing. We're going to pause and have a look at the word life in there, because the original word that Matthew used was psyche, Greek word psyche. Now, today we get words like psychology and psychiatry from that. But in those days, it meant your life, it meant your breath, it meant your soul. It's kind of who you are. At the deepest level, this is who you are. And Jesus said, those who want to save their soul will lose it. But those who lose their soul for my sake will find it. Now, what does he mean? What does he mean? This is difficult, but this is my understanding of what Jesus meant when he said that. Remember, we're disciples. This is a lifetime process. I think this happens very gradually, step by step, and it's not our work. This is God's work in us. So this is describing what's going to happen to us as disciples. It means we're on a lifelong process. And the lifelong process of a disciple is one of letting go. We're called to follow and to let go and to change and let go. Remember, God raised Jesus from the dead. There's a new kingdom. There's a resurrection which has started and that we're a part of and we're living in it. Now, in this new kingdom, there are just some things that just do not belong. There are some things that don't belong in the new kingdom, and they're the things we need to get rid of. Now, this can be all sorts of things, and over the weeks and months we'll explore and unpack some of that. But some of the things that maybe is an attachment to stuff. I like my things. Sometimes I found myself too attached to things. That's something that I've found I've had to let go of, and I probably will have to do more of. It could be a status, it could be your love of your status, that goes. It could be hurts, it could be that you've been hurt by someone and you need to let that go. It could be an addiction and you need to let that go. I know easier said than done, but with help you need to let that go. It may be idols, maybe other things that stand in the place of God, other things which you use to fill that gap, that missing part of you that you think will complete you, but never do. Whatever doesn't belong, it's got to go. Now remember, this is God's work. God does this. We just have to be willing and to submit and to let it go. The good news is that when we do this, we change, and we change for the better. We make space. We make space for our true soul to bloom. We make space for our true soul, the best part of us, the bit which we were created to be, the bit that we'll take with us into the kingdom of heaven. That bit will bloom and it will grow. And what it grows into is not our job. Again, God is the one who does this. God's the creator, but it will be good. So, by letting go, by being a disciple, letting go of things, that makes space for the true self to bloom. And that's how you find your soul. Okay, it's a deep passage, and I pray that the Holy Spirit will work in you gently and firmly and make this happen. Thank you. Bye-bye.